Team of the week time. I'm going to select a 23-man squad that I think wore their jersey the best in the big November test matches that we saw over the weekend, the big Northern v Southern Hemisphere matchups. I love this month every year because these are games we don't get to see as often as others, and they just feel a bit special, a little bit spicy, and there was some proper test matches this weekend and some really big performances, and in some cases there are jerseys where I could have given it to loads of different players and I've had to just make a choice. Let me know your thoughts. I would say it's a miracle on this one in particular because of how competitive some of the jerseys are. It would be a miracle if we agreed on all 23. But that's what the comments are for down below. Let me know what you reckon. And let me crack on. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, all that good stuff. Jersey number 1, I'm handing to Ireland's Andrew Porter, who scored a try in a solid all-round personal performance and a decent team performance in the end. Andrew Porter played very nearly 70 minutes of this match. He can go deep into games, and he was solid at scrum time. He was busy around the park, plenty of tackles going in, scored a try. I thought it was a good performance from Andrew Porter. I would actually say, overall, there are other positions that were better than the prop options over the weekend just gone. Which is quite an interesting one. Back row in particular, as we'll come to, is just wild how many good performances there were. Malcolm Marx was a standout in the hooker position for South Africa. I think he was the man of the match for me. Personally, I know Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, Sasha FM, my favourite radio station, he got the nod from the guys watching on the television. I thought, and I was in the stand, so you get a different perspective, but maybe a false perspective in some cases. I just thought he was the epitome of what won that game for South Africa. Absolute dogged grit up front, grinding France down. Malcolm Marx, over the last month or so, is back to his best rugby. He had a little bit of a wobbly patch there. The line-out wasn't functioning particularly well for South Africa. It's been on the money, and he's winning turnovers again, scoring tries, just an absolute unit. Malcolm Marx is the hooker. I do have a 23-man squad, remember, because rugby more than ever is a 23-man game. It's proving that every single week with the impact of the bench. So I have got a bench to select, and other contenders for that, I'll come to that in a bit. Ikanavere for Fiji and Julian Montoya, the two captains for Fiji and Argentina respectively, very good. Thomas du Toit. I had a little bit of trouble picking a tight head prop. There were lots of solid performers. There was no one that I thought had a real absolute standout box office performance. Thomas du Toit was the pick of them for me. And again, I think when you look back at this game, it's easy to think that South Africa played better in the second half because that's when they scored their points. And, and it was the backs that actually won the game for South Africa with some moments of magic, which there definitely were from Kobus Reinach, Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu and co. However, that Bok pack took it to a big, meaty French forward pack, and France were absolutely gassed in the second half. They had no answers to the power that South Africa brought, and that's where that game was won. And Thomas du Toit has just very quietly gone about his business extremely well. And I thought the tank was very good. I would shout Delgado for Argentina, who got a try and was really good. Thomas Clarkson for Ireland as well. Into the second row, Nicolo Canoni had an inspired performance for Italy in a fantastic win for them against Australia. And this guy dominated at line-out time, which is no mean feat against Australia because Nick Frost has ruined many line-outs this year alone, and Italy was sorted there partly down to Nicolo Canoni, but more than that, he just carried for days. This guy has guts, and he just kept going back to the well and kept working, hitting rucks, hitting people, running the ball up for his teammates. I thought he had a great performance. So Nicolo Canoni is in my team of the week alongside Ruan Nokia, who played more rugby than I imagine he was probably anticipating playing before the game started, because he came on, was it for an HIA for Lou Diaga? He came on for a bit, didn't he? And then there was the Lou Diaga red card, and he came on for the whole second half in place of Sia Khaleesi, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And it's fitting that there's a photo of him with the line out there. I mentioned that South Africa's line out had creaked a little bit. This is one of the guys that has sorted it out. And yeah, I think personally, him and Eben Etzebeth is their best lock combo. And bearing in mind the embarrassment of riches they've got at lock, that means you've got to be a mighty fine player. And Ruben Nortje is and was on Saturday night in Paris exactly that. To the back row then. Oh my word. How difficult is the back row to select? There were so many standout performers. And I've had to just go for 3 and a couple more on the bench. But Wallace Satiti. Fitting that he's in the team of the week and he played so well in a stadium that's in the capital of a country that gave the world William Wallace, which is who Wallace Satiti is named after. He went to Scotland and he fought like William Wallace, and his carrying is just violent. I love it. He set up the Will Jordan try. Really lovely break, speed. There was a period as well, because Simon Parker came into the side. Wallace Satiti was dropped to the bench not so long ago, and that's because he kind of wasn't firing on like he was in 2024. What we saw on Saturday, ominously for England and the rest of the world, is that Wallace Satiti was kind of getting back there to his breakout 2024 season. I thought he was brilliant. It's a very crowded field in the back row, like I say. I'm going for Jack Morgan in the 7 jersey. Unfortunately, it looks like that may be the last opportunity Jack Morgan has to play in this November Test series. He went off with an injury. It looked like a wrist, or I wondered if it might be a broken arm or something. Online, I'm seeing people saying there was a dislocated shoulder. I don't exactly know what the injury is, but I would imagine that would be Jack Morgan done for November, which is a massive shame because he is talismanic for his team. And he never deserves to be on a losing team when he plays. He puts it all in. I mentioned it on the review of the Wales game in my video earlier. He has Sergio Parise vibes. Italy, when they weren't particularly good, Sergio Parise would always just lead by example and just pull out these world-class performances, which I would suggest is even harder to do when you're in a team that is not very good. It's even harder to stand out against better opposition. And Jack Morgan just does it again and again. The guy he's incredible. And he had a phenomenal game, scored a try, turnovers all over the shop, bundle of energy, carrying. He just does it all. What a man, what a player. And I hope he gets back fit and well soon. And to complete the back row, a very, very powerful back row as well, Jasper Visser. I could have gone with Jack Dempsey. Could have gone with Chandler Cunningham South on the flanks. Could have gone with Fraser McWright, Manuel Zuliani, Ben Earl. Oh man, there were so many good performers. I've gone with Jasper Visser again. This for me, this was the biggest game of the weekend. It was the most intense game of the weekend in Paris. It was 2 of the best teams in the world. On their day, I would argue the 2 best teams in the world. South Africa clearly are the number 1. France are a fantastic team, and they had no answer to the power of the box. And it was not just carrying, but in defence, Jasper Visser was absolutely... he was I was mixed up between saying monumental and a mammoth. He was monumentally mammoth in that match, and he deserves to be in my team of the week. I firmly believe he does. As good as Jack Dempsey and Chandler Cunningham South were, and they both were at number 8 as well. I have got a bench to select, and please, as I say, that's the forward pack done. Let me know what you think. That's what the comments are for down below. And it is so hard to select, isn't it? This one was not hard to select for me. Stephen Varney was inspirational for his team, and Italy don't win that game without him. It was the best game. I'll say it's the best game of his life. He's probably played better in club colours, but performing at international level is the ultimate and is harder to do, and that's the best I've ever seen him play for Italy. Therefore, the best game of Stephen Varney's life. And the snipes, the maturity of his decisions, the kicking game was on point, the distribution was sharp, and the ball was in and away, and he sparked that comeback for Italy that led to a famous victory. Fly half, I could so have gone for Paolo Garbisi, Stephen Varney's halfback partner. I've gone for Sasha FM, my favourite radio station again. He was given the man of the match. He was very good. I actually thought he was better when he went to fullback. Yeah, and it was very noticeable. Libok came on, and Marnie Libok was very good, and Sasha stayed on, and Fillemser went off to give Sasha a full 80 minutes. I think that spoke volumes. And do we have to start? I did it the other day. Do we have to start seriously talking about this guy as a potential World Player of the Year nominee? He's getting to contender levels. That's two big back-to-back performances, and there was the incredible game in Durban. He's becoming more and more a contender. If he goes and dominates in Ireland, who knows? But it was an awesome performance from Sasha FM. Like I say, when he dropped back to fullback as well, or he was sitting in the backfield and France were kicking long, and he was there and had an answer for it every single time, sticking the bombs up. Really good contestable kicks for his teammates, quite often for himself to go through and get it. And yeah, I was very impressed. Paolo Garbisi was so good, though. And Sasha was better at 15. There is a bit of me thinking I should have put Paolo Garbisi in the number 10 jersey. I'm going to stick with what I've got. That's fine. I'll stay there. Into the centres, Sione Tuipulotu, the captain of Scotland. Scotland the brave, the gallant underdogs. That's what they've been for 120 years against New Zealand, and they were again. They came close, but not close enough. And that wasn't due to a lack of effort from this man, Sione Tuipulotu. What I really like about him is the way that he is a constant ball-carrying threat. And I say threat because he does carry hard and is a focal point for his team in attack. But the very fact that he does that relentlessly and then just keeps offering himself, that is what creates the space for the guys outside, because Scotland have a permanent threat that the defence have to worry about and sometimes double up on because he is that good. And you don't see Blair Kinghorn and Darcy Graham and Kyle Steyn or Hugh Jones and Duhan van der Merwe, if they're playing, you don't see these guys running in space without Sione Tuipulotu, who is so important for his team. And almost pulled off something very, very special as captain. But it was not to be because, well, the team they were up against were very, very good. And Leicester, Fainga Anuku, a second week in a row that he has been in my team of the week. What I really like about Leicester Fainga Anuku is how he goes and involves himself in the game. If he has a quiet 5-10 minutes, you'll see him suddenly popping up by a ruck, wanting the ball. And because he's a big man that takes on defenders, whether they're back row, front row, or fellow backs, he's got the speed to beat the backs. He's got the power to win the gain line against some forwards. He's becoming, well, he was before he went to France, important for New Zealand. I think he could be a crucial cog in their 2027 campaign. I just love the fact, much like Sione Tuipulotu, how he attracts defenders and that creates space for the game breakers that they've got elsewhere. His ability to offload out of contact is pretty special as well. So I've been very impressed with Leicester Fainga Anuku. He's in my team of the week again. To the wings. What a day for Louis Liner. Against the country of his father, his fatherland, playing for his motherland. And that's pretty special to score a try. The way he bounced Andrew Kellaway, it was very cool. The try itself, and he had a really big performance. And it's just a great story, isn't it? Fair play. It's just a shame he wasn't playing against Tom Liner, and that would have made it even more special and even cooler. But Louis Liner, take a bow, mate. Well played. On the other wing, Damien Penaud, who became the all-time French top try scorer with his first try. He went and got another one as well. And you know what? When you look at the games over the weekend and you think finishing at the top level is so important, look at Fiji and when they knock that ball on with that try at a crucial part of the game. Look at Scotland. Darcy Graham had that opportunity and didn't take it. This guy is a born finisher. And he just delivers. When there are chances, he takes them. He took two. The job was done by South Africa up front, but behind the scrum, France had some proper danger. Damien Penaud was part of that. Thomas Ramos was arguably an even more important part of that. He is world class. Not without his limitations. And I talked about this in following the game in the Stade de France the other night. aerially, France have an Achilles heel there. And I do wonder, because they do have some fullbacks that are really good under the high ball, I do wonder if we might see Thomas Ramos playing more at 10 for France. But then Romain Ntamak, it's a real tough one. But for all the limitations, when you look at that upside, there is no fullback on the planet that has the vision, the all-round footballing ability and reading of the game than Thomas Ramos. There are other players that have other attributes that may be best his, but just his natural playmaking ability from 15 is absolutely elite. And his vision, when he'd run down a dark alley, he'd been ushered inside by the South African defence who flew up at him, and he managed to find some space like a quarterback in the pocket, scurrying around to try and find some space, and then just managed to create a try out of absolutely nothing for Damien Penaud. It was amazing. I thought Ramos was great. To the replacements then. I could have gone. Julian Montoya was brilliant for Argentina. 19 tackles he put in, so I just want to give him a shout. But Canavere, 2 tries, a solid line-out, a really good set piece, a decent maul game. Fiji are really developing, and they're a genuine threat. And this guy, leadership, all-round play, set piece, absolutely quality. Tavita Canavere. Ellis Genji was opposite him in the front row. I mean, actually, that's another thing you've got to say about Fiji. Their scrum looks better. England were solid against Fiji, but didn't get an edge in the scrum. Nevertheless, Ellis Genji did a lot of good work. Loads of carries, lots of defensive work. He got a try as well. I did mention earlier, I thought the props maybe aren't as strong performing overall as the back rows, for example. But there you go. Thomas Clarkson gets on my bench. I could have mentioned... Who's the other tight head prop? I can't remember who the other one I was going to mention was. Delgado for Argentina, who got a try. Thomas Clarkson was involved in Ireland's first try. I'm really, really busy around the park. I like the look of that guy. Then Pieter-Steph du Toit. Now, I've nudged him as my second row replacement, which could have been Ollie Chessum. I just had to have this guy on there with his war paint on. It was funny how the white South African jerseys were trying to turn green through the game by rolling in that little quilter advert on the pitch. Pieter-Steph du Toit shoved his face in the turf several times. That's why he's got blue all over it. But man alive, what an absolute god of a rugby player. One of the greatest ever to do it. In my opinion, the greatest South African ever to do it. One of the best players I've ever watched. And I felt privileged again to be watching him in the flesh. Just go around and just hit things for 80 minutes. And his face never changes. He just gets up and says, next job, and goes and does it again. He's a machine. Chandler Cunningham-South gets on the bench. Like I mentioned earlier, it could have been Ben Earl, could have been Jack Dempsey. They were both outstanding. So was Fraser McRae. So was Manuel Zuliani. So was Adi Savia. Chandler Cunningham-South. I like it. I like this guy. He's giving England that bigger body in the back row, rich back row options that they've got. Bit of go forward. He was a line-out option. He was thundering in defence. And I thought it was a really, really strong all-round performance. Personally, I would have given Chandler Cunningham-South man of the match in that game. He didn't get it, did he? Who got it? Can't remember. Oh, it was Ben Earl. Ben Earl was good. I thought Chandler Cunningham-South was better, personally, for what it's worth. To the back replacements then, Kobus Reinach, who just had a moment of brilliance to score that try for South Africa. 35 years old. You'd never know he was. There's not even a little bit of salt and pepper in his beard, and he's still got the wheels as well. And he scored a brilliant try. He's in. Damien McKenzie had to get D-Mac in there. Heroic performance. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Bloodstained. Looks like that. I mean, it's just an iconic picture of Damien McKenzie. And yeah, he scored. He finished. Like Darcy Graham didn't manage to finish. Damien McKenzie did. Damien McKenzie nailed the kicks when it was needed. He was in a short cameo. He got man of the match in the game, and I wouldn't begrudge that. And finally, Kyle Steyn, who in that same match I thought was exceptional. Vindicated Gregor Townsend's selection, and what he gave that, you know, maybe Duhan van der Merwe has the highlight moments. Kyle Steyn has the all-round game, the defence, that tackle on Quintapea. They were 7 points down, and he made a try-saving tackle that I don't think many other people managed to make, and that kept Scotland in the game. Then took his opportunity when he had it. Really, really solid in the air. Good all-round performer. I've been calling for the selection for a while. I'm glad Gregor Townsend did, and I think Carl Stein showed why he deserves to be in the Scotland starting 15. Overall then, top 3 players, bronze, silver, gold fashion. Third place, I've gone for Jack Morgan, who was, talismanic's the word, and unfortunately looks like he's injured. Get well soon, Jack. Silver, Stephen Varney. What a performance, what a victory for Italy, well played. And gold, best player of the week for me, any team, any position, any match, Malcolm Marx. What South Africa did to France's pack to dominate another, and they did it in Wellington to New Zealand. They did it at Twickenham to Argentina. They've just done it to France in France. They've gone to France and dominated them up front and absolutely made France empty the tank, and then they turned the screw. And Malcolm Marx was at the heart of it. I thought he was the best player of the week. There is my 23-man squad. Let me know what you think. Noticeable, like I say, there are 5 South African forwards, and then the 9 and 10, which probably tells a story in itself. The game was won up front and close to the pack. France had some box office backs. Penno and Ramos get in. New Zealand, Fainga Anuku, Satiti, McKenzie, a couple of Irishmen, a couple of Scots, a few Italians, a Welshman, a couple of Englishmen. There you go. What do you reckon? Really hard, wasn't it? Really hard to select, but I would love to know what you think. Let me know. I'll see you on the next video.